In parts of the world, this time of year is known as cutting season, a time when some families send their daughters to undergo female circumcision. It's not always an easy topic to talk about, but it's something US President Barack Obama brought up on his recent trip to Kenya.
There's no reason that young girls should suffer genital mutilation. These traditions may date back centuries. They have no place in the 21st century.
Those who practice it say they do so for a number of reasons, ranging from hygiene and initiation rites to religion and community pressure. And although the UN officially banned female genital mutilation, also known as FGM, in 2012, it's estimated that up to 140 million women who are alive today have been genitally mutilated or cut. So what's being done to stop it? The hashtag #EndFGM is the online part of a campaign to try to make sure female genital mutilation soon only exists in our history books. In the UK, activists are using music to get the message across.
It's time for equality, so make it our mission. To stop girl mutilating, grooming and violating. This is our future, and yes, we're living in it. Join our revolution and see the bigger image. Use your head, use your head, use your head.
Here in Australia, the issue may not often make the headlines, but the message is just as important.
It needs to be ongoing to actually, figure out how far it's reaching communities.
Yeah.
Melbourne's Multicultural Centre for Women's Health has been working with women who've experienced FGM. It's hard to say just how prevalent the practice is, because many of the women who've experienced it may have gone through the process long before they moved here.
My mom came home one day and said we were going to visit a friend. We ended up in a bush, and in that bush we met an old lady who my mom had a chat with, and before I knew it, my mom was pinning me down.
Different cultural groups carry out different versions of the practice, some more extreme than others.
Some have more of an impact on women's health and the others have less of an impact on women's sexual and reproductive health, but they do also, many women have reported that it has an impact on their mental health, so no less significant for the woman herself. It's important to say that it's not an African practice, that not all communities in the whole African continent practice it, but that in the communities that are in Australia, the larger numbers are from African countries. There was some recent research, and both of those research projects found that there's a diminishing support for the practice in most of the communities.
But there is concern that some communities are being ignored because of the focus on the African community.
The Southeast Asian area, there's been a few communities in there that practices FGMC that may have, been, lost through, the focus has always been Afrocentric. So right now we're trying to develop resources that covers other parts of Asia and even some places in South America as well that practices FGMC.
Zubaida is from Singapore, and as a young girl, hearing about her friends being circumcised was relatively normal.
You don't really even talk about it. If a community member was, doing it to their daughter, to a newborn baby, then, you would go to their house for a little party, a little feast. That's just what's normally done.
But she started questioning just how normal it was when she moved to Australia.
My thinking, got changed. It's a practice that, shouldn't be done anymore. It's very old and very ancient.
To help change other people's attitudes, Zubaida now produces educational materials explaining just that, and tailors programs specifically for different communities.
The topic of FGMC is quite sensitive for a lot of communities who, don't wish to speak about it openly. So we have to take that into consideration when we're actually developing the resources.